Ladies and gentlemen, it is 12:30 p.m. Washington State Time. Today, Monday, February 24, 2020. I am Master THôNG LAI. I'd like to take a moment to live stream and answer some of the emails sent to me. The reason for this live stream is because I received an email from some of the disciples still working in South Korea. They want to return to Vietnam to avoid the disease outbreak in Seoul, which is the capital of South Korea. However, the owner of the South Korean factory where my disciple works recommended my disciple to stay in South Korea. He said staying in South Korea is better than going back to Vietnam. This Buddhist person represents a group of 25 workers who work for a Korean factory. I would like to invite all my fellow Buddhist followers in Vietnam and all around the world to listen to this letter. I will have a comment to advise whether this Buddhist group should return home or stay in South Korea. Please follow this email. Seoul, February 23rd, 2020. Dear Master, we are a group of Master disciples living in South Korea. Currently, there is a massive flu epidemic exploding in Korea. As of February 23rd, 2020, there have been more than 760 cases of infection from Wuhan coronavirus in South Korea. The South Korean government sent a letter to my factory where we are working, providing specific instruction. They instruct us to board a plane back to Vietnam in a week. They demand thousands of Vietnamese workers in the Korean factories and Vietnamese students must leave South Korea. They are working on a program to stop the Wuhan corona flu outbreak in South Korea. Master, I know very well that a Korean woman that came back from China says she should have stayed in isolation to prevent spreading the coronavirus. But she was a stubborn person. She was also Catholic, and she went to her Korean church. She didn't listen to the advice of many people and still attended the ceremony. As a result, the corona flu spread very quickly in Korea. Currently, I am very confused. When I go to social media forums in the United States or in Europe and everywhere in other free countries, people say Vietnam is a place that seems to be hiding information about the number of people infected. The number of 16 Vietnamese people cured out of 19 people infected with the coronavirus is unreliable. In contrast, the Korean government said that in Vietnam, it was considered as an outbreak as in Korea. They asked us to come back home next week. However, we wonder if we should follow their instruction. I asked the director of my factory. He said that it was true that the South Korean government had banned all flights from Vietnam to land in Korea because they were afraid of this infectious people. The source of the disease comes from Vietnam is for certain. The director told me that it would be better for me to stay in Korea because Korea is a country with a very good healthcare system, and at the same time Korea does not cover up the number of infected people. I will have a better chance to survive this outbreak here than returning to Vietnam. I should be careful with the news of only 19 people with illness and 16 people were cured. It is very dangerous for me. This is his own words to me, and I should not share among my group. Otherwise, the owner will be reprimanded by his supervisor. I am so confused. Master, should I stay in Korea to avoid the Wuhan corona epidemic? Or should I return home to Hanoi so that I can be isolated? What would be safer for me? We are waiting for your advice. We wish you good health. Signed by a group of Buddhist followers whom are working at a Korean factory. We are looking forward to Master Thích Thông Lai's response. Wishing you prosperity, peace, and health. When I read this letter, I feel very sorry for the group of students whom still work in South Korea. They said that the Wuhan corona flu outbreak is raging in South Korea. Currently, the South Korean government has sent letters to companies and factories. These Buddhist groups are instructed to leave Korea next week to avoid a corona outbreak. The Korean government is trying to stop this epidemic. This 25-person group has a representative who sent me an email because there are several of my disciples among this group. They asked if I should stay in South Korea to quarantine themselves or should they return to Hanoi so that they will be quarantined by the Vietnamese government. Which option is better? They are very curious when they go to all websites of free countries to see a high number of outbreaks. Meanwhile, Vietnam has only 19 cases and 16 people have been completely cured. At the same time, the Vietnamese government has declared that it has stopped the corona Wuhan pandemic. Therefore, the South Korean government said there is no outbreak in Vietnam. All the Vietnamese labor, exports, and students should go back to Vietnam because their lives could be dangerous in South Korea due to the booming of the coronavirus. On the other hand, my disciple said that her honest employer told them to stay in South Korea to take refuge and get better treatment. Because of this, my group of 25 disciples asked me to guide them. They would like me to ask this because the situation is very dangerous. I will not talk to this group member who went to South Korea to work. I will now talk to this group member who went to Korea to work. They have tracked all the information on the internet and found that the outbreak has been increasing in all countries, and specifically in South Korea, with over 700 cases. South Korea was ranked second highest in terms of infectious reservoirs by Chinese Communist statistics. They want to know if they should return to Vietnam for health protection or to listen to the director to stay in South Korea for better treatment if a disease outbreak occurs. Before I answer this email, I'd like to invite all my disciples to listen to some news in Vietnam before you make your own decision. As you know, Mr. Tran Dang Qua, Vice President of the Writers Association, posted on Facebook on the 22nd of May, 2020, a very important paragraph. He stated the following: China is close to our country. Chinese people come to us like going to the market. Last Lunar New Year, there were 50,000 Chinese people come to Vietnam for celebration. Only 16 people are infected with the corona flu. It is strange that we can cure all. We are the best in the world. Talents are real talents, but also needed to be alert and love the people. The authorities at all levels need to make measures to prevent and to reduce loss to Vietnamese people. In the Communist Party, he holds a position as Vice President of the Writers Association. He posted a paragraph that was on Facebook on February 22, 2020. He meant that China was close to our country and that Chinese can come into Vietnam as easy as going to the market. Last Lunar New Year, there were 50,000 Chinese people that came to Vietnam. He said that was a modest number that had come to our country for death. 50,000 Chinese people come to celebrate and only 16 were infected? After all, our country is so talented because all the people infected with this disease have been cured. He emphasized that Vietnam is talented and good, and they must love the people. They should have clearly and accurately informed to protect the people of Vietnam from the damage caused by the Corona Wuhan flu. He is a party member of whom he served as the vice president of the Writers Association. He is living in Hanoi and posted on his Facebook. He said our country is so close to the country of Vietnam, to the country of China. The Chinese go to our country as easy as going to the market. Last Lunar New Year's, there were 50,000 Chinese people present to enjoy Tet in Vietnam. But why only 16 cases of infection? That sounded very strange. Our country is so good. Treat all 16 of them. So talented, so good. However, he called for our national love, and leaders at all levels must have the love for our country and the people. I want to tell the group of my disciples in Korea, you should observe a person with high rank and also a senior party member like Mr. Tran Dang Qua, Vice President of the Communist Writers Association, said that the Vietnam is talented and good, but need to be cautious. We know that South Korea has no direct borders with Chinese communists. Only North Korea has a common border with Chinese communists. China. North Korea has closed its border since January 21 when the Wuhan outbreak occurred. The president of North Korea has closed the border, and South Korea has no direct border with China. South Korea did not do business with the Chinese communists. Only one South Korean woman traveled in China. She returned home, and she did not listen to the South Korean government's recommendation to stay in isolation for 14 days. Instead, she went to church. I observed that she had not have sufficient isolation yet, not for 14 days. Last week, she then went into a church that had thousands of parishioners on Sunday. As a result, she passed the disease of the Wuhan corona to other 600 to 700 Koreans. The number of infected Koreans is increasing day by day. Please use your logic to think that our country is just like Mr. Tran Dang Qua's statement. He had a blog to warn that China was close to our country. There were 50,000 Chinese present for the Lunar New Year's in Vietnam. The number of 16 infected people is too little to be true. It is even stranger that all people infected with the coronavirus in Vietnam were all cured. He said in a very clear way that our country was talented and good, but the communist members had to love the people. They must inform the truth so that people of Vietnam will be less affected by this pandemic. Therefore, it is clear to me that Mr. Tran Dang Qua, although he is a Communist Party member with power in Vietnam, he still prioritized the national love over propaganda, insolent stories. He could not talk much. He said that the talent is good, the talent is great, but they have to love the people a little. Don't hide the information, and damage will come to the people. If he said it in plain words, he will be purged from the party. I want to talk about the news from Mr. Tran Dang Qua, Vice President of the Vietnamese Communist Writers Association, who had said sentences that were posted on Facebook. I want to repeat it for you to understand. Is there casualty in Vietnam from epidemic or not? Recently, it was spreading online that in Dang Na province, there was a family in Thai Lai community at 25 at the kilometer of the 25th of Trung Phu district, Dang Na province. A family of 6 died. I telephoned those areas, and there were a number of residents who were my disciples at kilometer 125th of THôNG Food District, Dang Nai Province. They said that in this family of 6 deaths, there was a daughter from this family who married a Chinese husband. She came to Guangdong Province, Sichuan, to celebrate Lunar New Year's in her husband's hometown. After the celebration in Sichuan, Guangdong, she returned to Vietnam and stayed indoors. At that time, her father, on the 4th of the Lunar New Year, came in contact with her husband, and her father later died. Her father's cause of death was assumed hit by the wind, a common cold, and stroke. After father died, 2 days later, on the 6th, her healthy mother troubled and died. It was also assumed caused by stroke when she got admitted to the hospital. Both died, and both were stated caused by a common cold. The parents were buried. Soon after that, the 2 children in the family also died suddenly. A few days later, 2 grandchildren also passed away. 2 children, 2 grandchildren, and 2 spouses of this family died. When they were all dead, the authorities of the Tan Phu community of the kilometer 25th Thai Lao community banned information that these people died of the Wuhan corona flu. They said they died of the common cold. After burial, they put the pandemic prevention team to spray again and isolate this house. They said it was a common cold. The father of the mother was buried properly, but others were cremated. They sent prevention team to isolate the house. They sealed the house and sprayed it with disinfectant. This information has been circulated online. I also called back to the kilometer 125th in Thai Lai community, Tan Phu district to verify. Some people in the area, I temporarily cannot say his name. They said the truth was that there was a family with a daughter married to a Chinese communist. Upon the Lunar New Year, she went to China to celebrate. Upon returning to Vietnam, she infected the entire family. Her father died on the 4th of Lunar New Year. Her mother died on the 6th, and the 2 children in the family died soon after. At present, the source of the death in Thai Lai community, kilometer 125th of Tan Phu district, is true. Anyone declared the true cause of death will be fined 10 million Vietnamese dong. That is the second news. The Buddhist followers in Korea can go online to verify if the news is true. On February 24th, 2020, at Phang Tet Beach, a 69-year-old Estonian tourist was walking on the beach as any normal tourist would do. Suddenly, he dropped down and jerked like he got hit by the wind. A few minutes later, this 69-year-old Estonian tourist got a stroke and died. In the end, it was said that he was hit by the sea breeze and died rather than being infected with the corona flu. Looking at the images and information of this Estonian tourist death, it was similar to the death of Chinese people in Wuhan, in Hong Kong, or in China that were infected. They also have stroke and died without any symptoms. That is the recent case. Just happened. On February 24th, 2020, at Phang Tet Beach, you can search online. Then, a tourist with Canadian nationality was in Vietnam. He was sightseeing on Hanoi, 36th Street. There are many different streets at Hanoi. such as Flower Street, Fabric Street, and so on. He was walking on one of the streets. It was posted on February 24th, 2020. A foreigner of Canadian nationality named Joseph Turry. He was shopping in the old town of Hanoi when he got sick. He fell down and died. His picture has been photographed and posted on Facebook. As a result, it is said that he was also hit by the wind while walking and died in the old town of Hanoi. That is another news that have been circulating online. On February 24th, 2020, in Lang Ang, there was a healthy young man who was also had a stroke and died. The family took him to the hospital, and the doctor later confirmed that he had a cold and was killed by the wind. The family was not allowed to have his corpse for proper funeral ceremony. In Lang Ang, Bin Long Bridge area, the doctor tested him and reported him as negative for the coronavirus. The doctor then sent a letter, and the local authority of Long Bin in Bin Luk immediately isolated his relatives. The hospital confirmed a negative result but sent a letter to isolate the family members for 14 days. In Vietnam, this is a disease, so-called hit by the wind, and it's very dangerous. After you get hit by the wind, you must be isolated. You can have a stroke, or heart failure, or any disease. But it is forbidden to call it the corona flu. Another news about an employee of the Green Tree Company that grows oriental plants. On February 22nd, 2020, this young man rode his Honda moped to an area where he was responsible for watering. He was riding and he fell down on the ground. He died next to his Honda moped. His co-workers did not see him return after work and went looking for him. His body was found next to his Honda moped in the planting area. He was also destined to die from the so-called wind, not the corona flu. On February 23rd, 2020, the president of Hanoi City, Nguyen Duc Trung, called for an emergency meeting. There were many reporters from Vietnamese television, journalism, and many leaders. President Nguyen Duc Trung reported the disease situation in Hanoi is very serious and cannot be ignored. He suggested that all the media of the Communist Party must publish the information to the people of Hanoi. He also requested that all police force go to each patient's house to take their temperature and prevent the corona flu from spreading. Mr. Nguyen Duc Trung knew there's an outbreak, and this outbreak can be easily widespread in Hanoi. At a normal day, the city of Hanoi always has tens and thousands of tourists, and then tens and thousands of Chinese people living in all areas of Hanoi. He informed if the epidemic break out in Hanoi, it could be very dangerous. He asked the media to publish his concern. He said it is not to be underestimated because the area of Hanoi is an area prone to outbreak of the coronavirus. So it was the chairman of the Hanoi City Committee who spoke. You can clearly see this is a contraindication. On February 23rd, in the afternoon, Mr. Nguyen Duc Trung, during an emergency press conference with many journalism and all leaders of the Hanoi City, he repeatedly stressed in the press conference that they should not be overconfident because Hanoi area is at high risk of infection. They must be on high alert. They must instruct all local police to go to each house to check the temperature and find those who are ill to send them to the isolation area. Mr. Nguyễn Đông Trúc statement, President of the Hanoi City, is an alarming bell. He repeatedly stressed during a press conference on the afternoon of February 23rd that they should not be underprepared. The area of Hanoi City is at high risk of being infected. He asked the media to always report this information to the people of the city, to tell the people to take precaution as soon as possible. The president of literature, Trien Đăng Khoa, had called out. Next was Mr. Nguyễn Đông Trúc. He mentioned the number of infected patients in Hanoi still got concealed. He knew very well how many people were infected, so he secretly held a press conference. He said, do not be indifferent and do not be subjective, but must sound an alarm bell about the risk of infection in Hanoi. Nobody knows about the outbreak as well as Mr. Nguyễn Đức Trung. However, if he told the truth, the Chinese communists would immediately take him to the coal furnace for punishment. So he had to be smart and clever. You must understand that this is the President's way of talking. It is important to note that the Hanoi People's Committee is currently having students return to school in Vietnam. All cities will reopen their school on February 13th. I apologize. It is March 2nd. All parents have children of school age must make a decision. We cannot take the lives of our children to test for an epidemic experiment in Vietnam. We must know that the lives of our children are important. We cannot let the Vietnamese leadership use the lives of our children to test the plague in Wuhan. This virus spread in Hanoi. It has spread in Saigon. It has spread everywhere. We definitely cannot jeopardize the lives of our children, our students. Vietnamese communist leaderships are not allowed to use the lives of our children and grandchildren for testing. We cannot let the Vietnamese communists and their leaders use our children's lives to prove and declare that the corona epidemic has ended in Vietnam. They want this to convince people to come to Vietnam to do business and investment. However, people around the world know it all. The World Intelligence Agency knows very well. Indeed, South Korea is the first country on Monday to ban Vietnam from traveling to South Korea. This country has an outbreak because South Korea did not hide its truth. The Chinese Communist Party and the Vietnamese Communist Party are not the same. They hide, they conceal the truth. You have to think hard. Mr. Đức Trung, a chairman of the Hanoi City Committee, warned his patriots not being subjective and asked all the Communist Party's newspapers to widely announce this news. He wants to let the people know how to avoid the outbreak. The vice president of the Writers Association of the Vietnamese Communist Party, Trien Đăng Khoa, who is also a Communist Party member and chairman of the Journalists Association of the Vietnamese Communist Party. On February 22nd, he wrote a paragraph on his Facebook. China is close to our country. Chinese people come to us like going to the market. Last Lunar New Year, there were 50,000 Chinese people come to Vietnam for celebration. Only 16 people were infected with the corona flu. It is strange that we can care all. We are the best in the world. Talents are real talents, but also needs to be alert and love the people. The authorities are at all levels need to take measures to prevent and reduce losses to Vietnamese people. Measure must be taken to help Vietnamese people escape this epidemic. Trang Dang Qua is an active party member. Therefore, he has to inform the news with clever ways. The president of Hanoi City also requests to inform for 8 million Hanoi people to know the number of infected patients and the number of dead patients because he knew the truth. The most recent event is in Vĩnh Phúc and Long Song community. After 14 days of isolation, the community of 11,000 people, why weren't there any information at all? Yes, there are. All the people with information don't dare to post online because if they do, they would be arrested immediately. However, there are exchanges of text messages. A person from Vĩnh Phúc informed me that her area had many deaths. The government doesn't allow the event to be notified, and she is very worried at the moment. She doesn't know what happened to her family. She asked how to inform the world that there was an epidemic in Vĩnh Phúc province of Long Song community. That is why the communists has blocked all the related information. They use strict systems of not allowing anyone for entering and leaving the community. The compatriots understand that the medical forces of the Vietnamese communists have finished the epidemic in Vĩnh Phúc by burying, burning, and not giving notice. So once again, I advise my 25 disciples in Korea, please do not believe what the Communist Party has reported. You must know that in South Korea, the outbreak exploded because of a single stubborn woman refusing to obey the authorities' order. Traveling in China by refusing to stay quarantined at home, she went to attend the church activities. She was infected and spread it to other 700 plus people. While in Vietnam every day, after Hung Nu border gates, Cao Bang border gates, Lao Khao border gates, and Long Sang border gates, we still have tens and thousands of Chinese people entering into Vietnam, but still reporting only 16 people are infected. Even the vice chairman of the Vietnam Writers Association, Communist Party member Trang Dang Qua, had to shout out loud, "It is not possible for you to believe. Wishing you all well. Please protect your own health, your life, and your parents. Please speak up for your children, for the students of Vietnam, as we are not experimental animals for the Communist Party to test on for the corona Wuhan virus. Best regards. Must protect the health and lives of your children."